Madhavan is joining us. He's essayed the lead role. He's written, produced and directed the film, and he's joining us on India Tonight. Great to have you with us, Madhavan. And theatrical release of Rocketry, congratulations for it. A lot of publicity as well for the film. But what was it about the subject that drew you in so completely that you decided to go all the way? You decided to produce it, direct it, and of course, act in it.
Well, the film released today, and we are very excited about the word of mouth and the positive reviews. We're keeping our fingers crossed. But the whole idea was to tell the story of a man who was wronged by this country. And I think it was not a consolidated effort to bring him down. It was just that we were careless enough not to know about him or to protect him from the forces that were trying to bring ISRO down and keep them behind. One of the most important aspects of this is the satellite launch market in 1994 that was opening up, and India was a big player in that. And we unfortunately lost out on it because we didn't have the cryogenic engine. So all this, the stories that needed to be told, to be understood, and most importantly, the man who built this engine that has never failed, was not known to anybody. When I met him, he was angsty, and he was angry that whenever you put his name on Google, it spit out Nambi Narayanan of the ISRO spy case fame. And we wanted to change that algorithm and hope to see him as one of the most foremost scientists in India who developed the Vikas engine, which has never failed. In fact, last night, we had another extraordinary launch from on behalf of ISRO, which used the PSLV, which used all of Nambi Narayan sir's engine.
Fair enough. But, sometimes, Madhavan, turning what appears like a good story, turning that into a compelling movie watch can be a rather tall order. I'm sure you've observed this in cinema that perhaps you may or may not have been part of even. What were the challenges that you faced in turning this kind of story material you had into a movie that would have cinematic appeal, that would connect with a wide, very varied audience in India?
So I thought Nambi Narayan's story had the most cinematic appeal, more than a James Bond film. I mean, he actually was in Princeton. He was the first Ivy League student. He was in France with 52 scientists trying to learn how to build a liquid fuel engine. He was in Scotland trying to woo them to get, Rolls-Royce to get free equipment for India. He was in USSR while it was breaking down, trying to convince the Russian to give us the cryogenic engines while there were sanctions being applied to India. And despite which he managed to bring in 3 engines to India. And before he could develop, he was arrested and tortured and hit. So, I mean, how much more cinematic can you get with a film like this? And this is all true. And the idea was to show his brilliance before you show how he was wronged. And like the tagline of the film says, sometimes a man wronged is a nation wronged. And why wronging Nambi Narayanan was actually, wronging the entire nation and bring us back. Because in the years to come, we will desperately require intellectual capital in our country. With the world going the way it is. Sure. This should be the hub for technocrats to be in. And we need to make sure that we treat our technocrats, our scientists, and our IT professionals, as well as people who are futuristic about their belief in India, properly.
Fair enough. Fair enough. But, you also got in a Shahrukh Khan and you roped in a Surya as well, both of them to play cameos in the film. Sometimes getting these big stars can be a masterstroke or it can be a pitfall. So how did you decide to go ahead with these, and how tough did it really get to get these stars on board to play the part they did?
So we had very regular actors in their places almost 1 month before the shoot. Nobody imagined that I would get a Surya or a Shahrukh, nor did I. It was just that it was meant to be a small film that suddenly became bigger because I had narrated a bit of the story to Shahrukh sir when we were shooting for Zero. And he reminded me about it when we went to meet him on his birthday and said, I want to be part of the film. And I thought he was joking. He said, no, I'll give you whatever dates you want. Make me do a passing from the back or what. I just want to be part of the film. And I really thought he was joking till 2 days later when I messaged his assistant to thank him for remembering my script. And she messaged back in saying, no, he's serious. Do you have a role for him? I said, not something that is in the passing. And she said, no, what do you have in mind? And I told him it's a fairly important role. And she just said, how many dates do you require? And he was there on the set, and he didn't take any money from me. He didn't take anything from me. In fact, I forced him to some way or the other that I could repay this debt. But he was gracious about it, and as was Surya. When I came to know Shahrukh was doing it, I needed somebody from the south to do it, and Surya, being my best friend, jumped in. Came into all the way from Chennai to Bombay. Didn't take any money. Worked on his lines with his writer. Seriously, one hadn't mark this sort of achievement for the film, and I don't think that I had bitten off more than I could chew in terms of casting them. It's a dream cast, but I'm glad I got the opportunity to do that in my very first film.
Yes, lucky you are, and we hope that works out for you. But looking at audiences and how they're maturing, looking at the kind of cinema producers like you are producing, looking at diverse characters, there are different kinds of storytelling that's happening, a lot to do with the kind of production that we see coming out of OTTs too. But on the other hand, you're looking at audiences getting a little more intolerant, especially with what's happening on social media. Recently, you were trolled for your Panchang remark about ISRO's Mars mission. And there was also something about you misquoting the number of your Twitter followers. That got some venom spewing. So the overall buzz is that we are becoming more and more intolerant as a society. Do you agree with that? What's your take on it?
I wanted to translate it's called the Navigational Almanac. It was unique to the Indian ISRO, the algorithm that they made for the Mars mission, and it is unique to India. We did manage that with 2 engines. But when I was speaking in Hindi and in Tamil, if I was to look for the translation of the almanac in Hindi and in Tamil, if you look at the Google Translate, it says Panchang. It says Panchangam for Tamil. And that's the word I used because I didn't want to say navigational almanac, which I thought was an alien word, because as it is being accused of using a lot of techno words in the film. That got picked up, and that got misunderstood as trying to promote a religion, which is sad, which is not what the idea was. But you're right. People are sensitive, or people actually target you for using a word which they assume is inappropriate or inaccurate. And that's fine. For me, it doesn't really make a difference. All my trolls, I actually also, honest with you, all the trolls that troll me are also part of this country. And I have utmost respect and love for them. If I don't like the tone they use, I might block them. But they have a right to, not to be considered my enemy or my opponent. So I try to spread as much cheer as possible. If they're courteous and polite to me, I apologize if I'm wrong. Yes, I did say that Twitter had 25 million followers instead of saying 250 million, which was to actually prove a point that less than 1.7% of the public of India is on Twitter. And so, therefore, it is not necessary for all of us to think that our world revolves around what Twitter or the social media says. But we do get trolled for things, and hats off to those guys. I'm sure they have a lot of better things to do. But when they're correcting me, if they do it politely, I accept it. If they do it rudely, I block them. But I try to spread cheer on the social media. And you're right, people are becoming a little edgy and to an extent nasty, and it's unfortunate.
It is unfortunate, but keeping a calm head and do what you want to do and follow your passion sometimes can be a tall order with everything, all these distractions around you. I know that you play golf and you're an avid golfer. I know you do biking and stuff like that as well. The weekend is up ahead. What plans, Manny?
Oh, well, I'm just going to be monitoring the collections of the film, and then decide where the publicity has to be intensified and where the theaters have to be increased. And then maybe a week later, we'll have a clear thought on how the film is heading. And then I'm going to take a break and sleep for at least a week.
Good luck with that, Madhavan, joining us, talking about Rocketry. And of course, a man who's done 25 years in cinema. If you talk about longevity in cinema, that's Madhavan's story. And he's done a variety of work in both Hindi films and Tamil films. So it's great to have you with us, and good luck going ahead. Always a pleasure chatting with you. With that, it's going to be a wrap on this Friday evening edition of India Tonight. So much more coming up ahead on ET Now. We hope you keep it with us and have a fantastic weekend ahead. Bye-bye.